Roses are gold, and Athena is queen. The revolution is real, 'cause Monet makes green. Tony is timeless, while Io's sky is so blue. Miss Utami is back, and Saya is too. Who's the best in the world? Well, we're not really sure, but we know it's not him, because wrestling is her.
Indeed.
I'm your host, Raja, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, John.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about the amazing, wonderful world of women's wrestling.
It's here. It's that holiday time of year.
Oh, the best time of the year.
All kinds of stuff going on, going down, going round in the town. And we got stuff coming up like crazy. This is a go home, get home, watch your stuff, get an app.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I mean,
like, so many things are coming up. This time of year just makes it feel like everything is going to be so big because it's the end of the year. Even if it's not the time for your biggest pay-per-view of the year or what have you, this still feels like the time when, like, storylines are paying off, things are restarting and resetting, and anything could happen.
Well, yeah, and we've got, like, an incredible time of year right now because it's also the new moon, and it's also the time of... If you get into kind of astral type stuff, which I know some of you do.
Of course.
It goes hand in hand.
It does.
This is, even without that new moon, this is very much a rebirth. This is, we're in that time.
It's almost time for the sun to be reborn.
Yes. And it's also time for that phony baloney time of year that we reset everything, even though it's just a day.
Yeah.
That goes into another day.
There's literally like nothing to it at all.
We're pre-programmed because somebody... flipping 10,000 years ago is like, you know what? You know when it gets really cold and then it gets a little colder before it gets warm, but it's really dark most of the damn day. That's it. But not on that day. Like maybe 10 days later.
It's really weird that they didn't do it on, like, the darkest day of the year should probably be the last day of the year.
The last day of the year.
And then it starts
and then
back
we
anew.
start getting daylight back.
It would make so much more sense.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would.
They just come up with all this stuff, like Jesus' birthday and all that. It's all made up.
Listen, why can't we start the year?
Didn't actually happen on that day.
New Year's could be December 21st, and then we could start the year with Christmas. Like,
yeah.
What would be terrible about that?
It's incredible. It's incredible.
What a way to start the year.
Yeah. I mean, we could still have a drinking holiday like a week later. Like, it could be the, oh crap, we broke our diet drunk day.
Yeah. Like, oh, we got to get back to normal life this year.
But what we do have is we have the country of Japan and supercards.
We do. We have so many of them coming up.
Someone may want to do a wellness check somewhere around January 5th.
Oh, gosh.
On the two of us. Because
just make sure we're all right.
Somewhere in the last week of Daysam, we will be taking in the biggest shows of the year.
Oh,
we will be taking in 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be on that Jenna Jameson level.
Yeah, by the time we get to around January 6th, we're like completely dead. In the best way, though.
What a date that is. It's a weird date. I don't know why that rang a bell. Anyway.
It's a weird date, but I completely blame Wrestle Kingdom for making it that way.
Yes.
Because they just in the whole reign of holiday shows.
Well, yeah, it's not just Wrestle Kingdom January 4. It's actually for us, it's always been the night after, but it sucked for a few years, kind of like the Raw after Mania.
Yeah, like the afterwards, like the Fallout shows have been lacking a little bit.
Listen. Bring Raw after Mania back to prominence.
Please.
It has to be special.
You got a few months.
I mean, at this point, I think they've screwed us so many years in a row that people don't really expect it.
And then they could just go balls to the wall and everyone would be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, and it don't even have to be big balls. It can be little midget balls.
Yeah.
It don't matter. The thing is, we just want some balls. And
yes, please.
Just some little surprise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Virgil. It's Virgil.
We'd be like, wow.
Oh, my God,
Oh,
Virgil.
my God, we never saw this coming.
Holy crap. Yeah. So,
oh, goodness.
Anyway.
All right. So, since we're on the topic of Raw and WrestleMania, we might as well talk about what's going on in WWE right now.
It's time to go up north.
Yes, it is. We'll start out talking about the current storylines, we had Survivor Series War Games and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We're continuing that same storyline with Bayley and Damage Control, where they are kind of leaving her out of everything.
Right.
She's trying her best.
As predicted.
To be a team player. She's doing her utmost to help the team get wins and stay on top. But they're just not having it. They're like, you just stay and let us do our thing.
Too bad she don't have some friends that would appreciate her.
It's so wrong. I feel so bad for her.
All her friends have done that.
It was her faction.
Yeah.
Then Io gets a belt and she thinks that suddenly she can bring in all her little friends. And
yeah, I mean, she's pretty sure of herself. That's so bad.
Oh, no.
It's so bad. I know we go live and we don't edit, and we're big on that.
Yes.
That you guys might not even realize, but we do this. We're like One Take Jones.
Yeah,
and
we try our best.
We take pride in being able to do this on one take.
Yes.
So,
that's staying in.
I have to live with that corniness.
Oh, goodness. But also in that same vein, we unfortunately saw what looked like a pretty serious injury to Charlotte.
Yes.
In her match with Asuka, which is scary.
Yeah.
Especially given the recent stuff with her and Becky and the speculations that we had of possibly bringing back a little Four Horsewomen. So that sucks.
Yes, it does.
Anytime there's an injury, it sucks. Charlotte Flair.
I think the Bella Twins practiced dark witchcraft. And Bree sat there and watched that match with Andrade versus her husband.
Maybe.
And
he was like, oh.
Is that how we're going to play it? Is that how we're going to play it, bitch?
Is that what's going on here? Okay.
Hama Hazuka. And boom.
Oh, goodness. On the other side of things, though, there's like a lot going on. We have Rhea Ripley defending her title in matches.
Yes. Most of them are good matches.
Yes.
Unless it's a Monday Night Raw.
Yes, unless it's that.
It wasn't Rhea's fault.
There was a little action after the match with Ivy Nile getting in her face. There might be something leading up to that, a little interesting stuff.
Right.
Kaden Carter and Katana Chance are getting a tag title shot against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. So we got the tag team titles getting in the mix there, as they should be.
Good of them to get a chance after.
Yes, they've been
this long
busting their butts for years.
Absolutely.
They deserve it. And also we saw a little face-off between Nia Jax and Becky Lynch.
What?
Playing off of the infamous moment when Nia Jax broke Becky Lynch's face.
Yes.
In a match leading up to Survivor Series.
Not when Nia broke her hole.
No.
But
that was not Becky's fault.
Another break.
Yes. And it's interesting because these two have actually never faced one-on-one. They've only been in a ring together in WWE 5 times for matches, and 3 of those were Royal Rumbles, and 2 of them were Survivor Series matches.
It's strange because they arguably, sometimes will keep like 6 main girls on a roster.
Yeah.
And, on one of the brands, and you see basically every combination.
Yeah. And it boggles the mind to think why they didn't capitalize on this storyline closer to when it happened. But I love Nia Jax's take of being the woman who made the man. And of course, Becky being like, if they only cared about me getting my nose broken, they would have stopped caring a long time ago when it healed, So she just wants to dispel these rumors that moment is what made her.
That may be why they haven't faced many times, though.
It could be.
Is because Becky makes a lot of money.
Yes.
For them.
Yes.
And they want to protect her.
I would not blame them. Because Nia Jax has a bit of a reputation.
Same reason you wouldn't put someone against Ridge Holland.
Oh gosh,
just saying.
I can't even.
Just saying.
But it'll be fun to see these two, like where they take this story. I assume Becky is just gonna run roughshod like she does, but we'll see.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You never know with that.
You don't.
That dynamic, and plus, if they all end up. If those girls ended up all kind of down on the luck, a little bit.
A little bit.
And had to show up at a bar together and,
game plan a way to get back to the top.
Yeah, maybe go a little horseback riding to get back into it. Yeah. I'm going to make this happen.
You're going to bring back the vignettes, aren't you?
They're going to happen.
This is arguably like the biggest program of Nia Jax's career. Like even having faced for Rhea Ripley for the title and stuff, like this is like one-on-one with Becky Lynch. That is like hot stuff there.
It's really a chance for her to get back on the horse and
it is.
And show that she can, work a main event program,
absolutely.
And really draw with it. And yeah, anybody loves David versus Goliath.
Yes.
It's such an easy match formula.
It is.
That it's going to be good. And you're going to have clear lines on babies and heels. You're not going to have a split crowd.
No.
People.
You wouldn't with Becky anyway.
Nia is a traditional heel, and I love her for that. She's great because regardless, all right, look, it's wrestling. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a bloody nose. And if you can't take a bloody nose, you need to get the bloody hell out of it.
Yeah.
Because I know people love the dog pile on stuff, right? If the worst thing that girl has ever done is give someone a bloody nose, well, that's pretty damn good. Or I'm sorry, hurt somebody's back or whatever.
Right.
It's wrestling. You're hurting yourself every time you go out there. And, it's just one of those things, man. They just got to do it. And I think that she could be incredible because she's an old school heel.
She is.
she doesn't do a damn thing to make people like her.
No.
Nothing.
She does not care.
She doesn't give two Fs.
No. She's just going to go out there and do her thing.
I respect that.
It's great.
I love that. We need more of that. I
agree.
So I don't know.
Less of the tweeners. More of like the one, pick a side.
more of the Aja type heels.
Yes. So we also got to see NXT Deadline recently, and we got to witness Blair Davenport win the Iron Survivor Challenge to get a championship match against Lyra Valkyria at New Year's Evil.
Yeah, it's surprising, honestly.
It was surprising. Like, I was like, Tiffany Stratton, Fallon Henley, who are still feuding.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them would get it. Maybe they'll just push somebody else like right up to Blair Davenport was like, nope, it's mine.
Yeah, no, and so much of me's happy seeing that, but I don't know. When I'm watching NXT, I'm always thinking I'm developing somebody.
Yeah.
Blair is way past development.
She is. She's great, though.
Yeah, she is.
She's definitely not on, like, she's way more tenured than a lot of the girls that she's facing.
And that's fine. I get it. It's like a third brand, but it just feels to me like she's a main roster person and missing the boat there. But maybe this is where she finds her, for them. I still feel like we don't really know who Blair Davenport is.
Right.
It doesn't feel like she's got a true character. There's nothing about her, honestly, that's special right now.
Yeah, no. Maybe this will help her out a little.
And I know she's got the talent for that.
Yeah.
And I know she's got that uniqueness to her. I just want to see it. It's kind of like what happened with Tony, right?
Yeah, you kind of get lost a little.
One of the best in the freaking planet. But until something happens where they find themselves, it's just,
you just have to have that one chance.
Yeah.
You gotta take it.
This is her mom's freaking spaghetti.
It is. And come New Year's Evil, she better barf it all over already or whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, Marshall.
We also saw a crazy cage match between Kiana James and Roxanne Perez following up their other crazy match on the Devil's Playground.
Yes.
These two do not like each other, even a little bit. This match heralded the return of Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez's former best friend. So throw her in the mix, plus Izzy Dane showing up to help Kiana win. So just so many cogs. So many things happening.
It's one of those things. How can you be sure to have interference? Put them in a cage.
Yes, somebody needs the door slammed on their head.
I mean, it's the obvious way in WWE to make sure there's going to be interference.
There it is, yes. But I will note that this cage match had no escape clause.
Right.
They could not win by escaping the cage.
Yes, which is fantastic.
Match, which is how it should be, because you're in that cage for a reason.
Otherwise, it seems like a game show.
Yes.
It's like, who's going to climb that wall?
You're in the cage because you don't want other people to interfere. You want to brutalize each other. You're not trying to run away.
Yeah, a cage match historically was built up as to be the last, to be the blow off, if you will, and to be that match because you've tried everything and there's either been interference or there's been a heel taking that cheap shot and protecting themselves and taking the count out, or there's been double count outs, there's been blood, there's been guts, there's been beer spilled everywhere. And finally, we got to finish this. We got to do something. And it's brutal, baby, because you go up against that chicken wire, that freaking chain link. You don't know, man. There's little pieces sticking out everywhere, and they're going to hit you. They're going to cut you. You're going to get little things all over you. It's going to hurt because it's a lot stiffer than you think. You think, oh, that gives a little bit. No, let me tell you, it doesn't. It hurts like hell. It hurts like hell. And it's one of those things that when you get in that cage, it's because you've built yourself up. You've built yourself up to the ultimate level of hate. And that's what I love about cages. So yes, not having escaped the cage, it always gets me excited because they've tried screwing it up for years. But I was really excited about that.
Was too.
And
I was very
were
happy.
brutal. There was little cuts and abrasions all over them. So.
Oh yeah. Nothing like Kiana's big punk knot after the Devil's Playground, but that was the Devil's Playground. So
you're gonna get punk knots.
So let's move on to talk about what's currently happening in the women's division in AEW.
Yes.
Starting with the TBS title picture. Of course, Julia Hart is our current champion, and we have this story currently going on kind of since Halloween where Abadon has come back and has been getting this push.
Right.
They are winning matches left and right, and in the past 2 matches, Julia Hart has shown up after the fact just for a little stare down.
Yep.
Nothing more than that.
Just playing the mind games.
Abadon's upset that they can't get to Julia before she disappears again.
Right.
But Julia seems more interested in Abadon than anything else because she can't figure them out.
Yeah.
She cannot figure out what's behind that mask, face paint,
I think Julia
facade.
Malachi's better than Malachi. And, it's...
She's spooky.
She is.
She's spookier than Abadon because with Abadon, they're like a monster,
Right.
like scary. But Julia's like the kind that's going to get you when you least expect it.
Right.
They're not going to come running straight at you.
Yeah, because Julia looks like the insane girl next door.
She does.
And
yes.
that's
The
terrifying.
one that's got pictures of you everywhere.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's not the goth girl in the trailer park, 2 streets over. You expect her.
It's like the rich cheerleader.
Yeah, you expect her to microwave a cat.
Right.
Julia is the one that's, like, oh, hi, I'm here to pick up Seth.
Yes, the sweet, quiet girl.
Right. Yeah, that totally is going to make the news one day for a bad reason.
Right.
So I'm with you, man. Julia's scary.
Strange.
And, Abadon's more cartoon scary.
Yeah. You're always going to see Abadon coming.
Yeah.
They're going to come like right at you.
Yeah.
Like you have a chance at least.
Yeah, and by the time Julia's got you, she's already come. So I mean, it's one of those things that you're not going to see it, and it's bad news.
It'll be interesting to see how these two match up.
I don't see any existence available out there, any of the infinite dimensions where Abadon wins.
No, me either.
Because I believe this is the beginning. So you're always going to have like that first challenge. And
the first little feud to kick off your title reign.
Right. But man, she's babyface.
Yes.
I mean, she really is. I mean, you can call her a heel. She can do hilly things. But if you're cheered, you're a babyface.
You're automatically a babyface.
And when you're super talented and you're just entertaining, it just happens.
It does, yeah.
It's the Road Warrior curse. It doesn't matter how evil or mean or how gruff you talk and stuff.
Right, yeah.
If you're still doing it well,
people are going to enjoy you.
People love you, man.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So on to the women's title, the big belt. Our champion, Toni Storm, had her first defense of the title against Sky Blue, who rudely interrupted her speech, of course. So she had to make an example of her.
The nerve.
How dare she?
How dare she?
But we also got to see in that defense, Riho make her return to AEW, which was exciting.
Yeah, and it keeps getting more exciting.
It does, because we got to see Riho's first match back against Ruby Soho, and she is just as good as she. Like,
let me tell you,
even better. I don't know.
I think it's the best Riho I've ever seen.
There's something
There's
about her.
something
like, there's
about
a
Riho.
pep in her step.
Yeah.
Like, she's great.
She came off like so more legit. There's something there. I don't know what it is.
It's like a maturing. I don't know.
There's a lot of weirdness that's been going on lately in wrestling.
Yeah.
You want people that you like to be better sometimes. You want people that you love to be their old selves. And I don't know how many times we've seen it lately, but we've seen it a lot. We're going to talk about it later.
Yeah.
There's people that went away and
came back like,
yeah.
what?
People that went away and we should have been a little sadder than we were.
Shiny and new, like people needed breaks.
and they came back and it's like, holy shit, they slept.
Yeah.
You know?
They took a nap.
Riho looked great.
Yes.
And I'm obviously mean in a wrestling capacity, you know.
Yes. She was on top of it in this match.
I mean, she always looks amazing, but she was really there, man. She was really there. There was nothing that seemed forced and contrived.
No, and Ruby was a great person to get back into it with because she's great anyway.
And you know, it's the curse. It's Ruby's curse. And if I was to write the autobiography of Ruby, it would be called Ruby's Curse because her curse is that she's so good,
right,
at making people look good. That she is put in that role.
Yes, like she's like the gatekeeper. Like they come back and she's
terrible.
like, okay.
It's terrible. Some of the greatest pro wrestlers in history are just fantastic at making you look good. So that's what you do. And it doesn't really hurt their stock that bad.
No, but it never gets them further in their own career.
No, it doesn't. It keeps them employed.
Yes, it does.
But no, it doesn't.
And I do want to point out that in the mix of all this women's title stuff, Mariah May has been dutifully by Toni Storm's side, but she has been a little weird at times, like disappearing here and there and not telling anyone who her debut match is going to be against and, you know, just being a little strange.
Maybe she's the devil.
I don't think she's the devil, but I do think she's plotting. I'm not sure she's as much a hopeless fan of Toni Storm as she seems.
Right.
Perhaps more of a wanting to overthrow Toni Storm to take her place sort of fan.
More of an opportunist.
Right. She's like the second half of that Julia character where she'll like try to cut off your face and wear it and be you.
Right. No, it's exactly right. And I'm with you. Maybe it's not a long game, you know, where we're going to have like the Mickie James, Trish fan thing and to the finally moment that she just loses it. Maybe it's more of just the real actress and she comes out and's like, you know what? You thought you were an actress. I'm the actress.
It's not like a thing where Toni pisses her off. It's more that she's plotted this from the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
She knew getting close to Toni would get her somewhere.
Right. She's like, look, you know, I'm the one. I'm the Scream Queen, babe.
Oh, I would love that. She'd be great at that.
Yeah, if she just turns straight cold.
Oh, fantastic! Like turn Toni back like normal again.
Yeah, I mean, what you mean she's not normal?
No, that's not what that's not what I meant.
Oh,
just
she seemed normal to me.
Happier about things, you know.
Okay.
Just like
all right,
not feeling so poorly about her image and such.
Right. I got you.
She's a star.
It's going to be good.
It is, yes.
I love having a story cooking back here on the back burner.
Yeah, and you never know.
It's a slow cook, but we've got a great meal up front.
We do.
And you know, it's good.
I assume we're heading for Toni versus Riho, like in the near future.
Yeah.
Probably. Which, yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking World's End, right?
I would think so. That sort of seems like who her opponent's going to be for World's End.
You would think so.
And maybe a little Turnsky after that.
Yeah.
From Mariah.
It's coming. I mean, I'd say 2 weeks after.
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, with background stories and stuff in AEW, we even have a little storyline going in the women's division that's not centered around one of the main titles with this whole Mercedes and Diamante versus Willow and Chris Statlander thing. Like, just happening all on its own.
Yeah, right.
Which I love.
Absolutely.
It's just something new.
And it feels like we're getting some depth, some much needed depth. And
maybe a little tag division starting up.
Well,
maybe.
yeah, I you know what? I'm fine with there not being tag titles now.
I know.
We can barely book the main titles.
We've got like 2 tag teams. I understand.
Yeah. So I know there's been other people do that before, and it didn't turn out so well. So.
Right, yes, no, and it still is. They haven't figured out how to fix it yet.
Yeah, it's because women's wrestling doesn't get enough time on the main shows.
No, it doesn't, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely.
We are, but until we get a women's wrestling show on both brands, you're not going to have time to truly develop these stories the way we need to.
I agree.
Even if they would do an online show.
Kind of like Ring of Honor did with the Women of Honor weekly show on YouTube.
Ring of Honor does now.
Ring of Honor is like half
Ring of Honor is the best booked women's.
It is.
Because you're getting indie women. You're getting, look at the best, arguably, the absolute best story in women's professional wrestling.
Not even arguably,
in
honestly.
the States is, getting ready to come to its blow off.
Yes, and of course we have Final Battle coming up in a few days on Friday, December 15th. Yes, and it is going to be on Honor Club, which we're all excited about, from Garland, Texas, and the women's title match, which of course we know is Athena versus Billie Starkz.
Right.
But I don't want to get too much into the story right now because our feature today is, of course, on the fallen goddess Athena, and I have the full story ready to go for you within her story. So
deep diving.
If you want to hear everything about Athena leading up to this incredibly big match at Final Battle, then stick around because it's well worth it.
Yeah, and you'll be very impressed.
But I do want to add though right here that it has officially, as of this last episode of Honor Club, has been made the main event of Final Battle.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
Ladies on top once again, which it should be.
Amazing.
Athena has been ruling Ring of Honor.
Yes.
All year. Since it started. Since this new brand started.
Right.
It's been the Athena show.
Every week.
She deserves it. Billie deserves it.
Yes.
So I'm just stoked that they are getting this place
That's
on this
amazing.
pay-per-view. But we will talk about that story coming up because it is insane and amazing. But before that, we have to talk about Stardom. There has been so much happen in Stardom.
Oh my God.
Going all the way back to the end of November because they just have constant stuff. But
it's all good this time.
Oh, absolutely. It's been amazing.
It's been a nice transition.
There was a little thing on the 26th of November where Megan and Julia had their singles match that went to a time limit draw.
Right.
And it was so good.
It was.
Megan and Suzu Suzuki was one thing. We talked about that on our last show. It was like Suzu finding ways to survive Megan for the full 15 minutes.
Right.
This was something different.
Completely.
This was Julia taking it to Megan.
Oh my God.
And just a full on back and forth.
Like nobody we had seen take it to her.
And it was so good.
It was.
And then on the 28th of November, we had the big Korakuen Hall show.
Yes. Which
was the return of Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani in a 6-man match against Mei Seira, Suzu Suzuki, and Megan Bayne, where they teamed with Azumi. And that also went to a time limit draw, but it's not even the match itself, really, which was amazing.
Right.
But just seeing them come out, seeing them in their new gear, with their new ring jackets, these almost like new personas.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. And the two of them together as Aphrodite is just mind-blowing.
It really is.
Every time they're on screen, it's like you can't look away.
Yeah, it's been mind-blowing is the right words.
It reminds you how the mystique of Stardom.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're bigger than life.
They are.
And
we've been missing so much.
It's so amazing. And, Aphrodite, since the first time they were thrown together, years ago, are amazing.
They work so well together.
I love the story with them. I love the fact of, we go from one of the most legendary cage matches, for Stardom with the teams. And then that story it came to its conclusion and the hug and all this.
Saya and Utami finally on the same page.
Something just still wasn't right.
Yeah, Utami went to America.
Yeah, she goes on this, excursion, this self-inflicted excursion.
Yeah.
And still, it wasn't right.
No.
It just didn't feel right.
And then the day she comes back, Saya gets injured in the 5-star opening night.
Yeah.
And then Utami ends up getting injured.
Which Saya, arguably would have won.
Yeah, that did look to be the case.
And probably was on a collision course with Utami.
It's something like that. I mean, this story has so many layers.
It does. And now we are back on track.
We are. In a big way.
They being Saya and Utami, look, man, in-ring,
flawless.
Just looking amazing, bringing something back to the brand.
Yeah. Saya's crazy moves, Utami's power and passion when she's in there.
Utami looks like she is absolutely in it.
She does. Like, she needed this break, and she's come back full force.
She's in the zone. There's people that have passed her by.
Yes.
And I think that
I don't think she takes kindly to that.
No, I think that any competitive athlete has that fire that burns. That's like, mother effer, you're not going to forget me.
Yeah, and I think you see it a lot too when she's in the ring with Suzu in particular.
Yeah.
Like, I think she feels some type of way about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you got, like for Utami, you don't have a black belt in judo and not have that competitive juice. You don't come from a family as large as hers.
Right, and not feel like you need to scrape for the spotlight.
Yeah, and her whole life has been nothing but proving and pride and working so her sisters can go to school and, just all these wonderful things about her as a person and a human being. And just having her get so much so quick, because my God, was it quick.
It was.
It was right.
She was on a rocket.
Right off the bat. I mean, when she came into that, it was, and Saya was too. Saya was part of the short-lived, Stardom dance team, and they had an idol squad, a Stardom idol squad, and Saya, was part of that short-lived thing there, and qualified for Stardom and went right in, and man, she was going after future Stardom titles,
and she's amazing,
just like this, and in no time at all.
Yeah,
so, and they've both been on this course of just boom, 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 boom. I think this was needed. I think
the universe forcefully was like, stop for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, look, you guys really got us through the pandemic.
Yeah.
This is the break. There's going to be some stuff change.
Right.
Needed change.
Absolutely.
And so we got the leadership change. All this stuff, I think this is right. And I think that this next year in 2024 is definitely going to be around them too, regardless of what happens with other people and contracts and schmon tracks and all this. I think that it's really going to somehow, this time next year, we're going to be looking at a Saya Utami main event at Queendom in 24.
I'd love to see it. But as well at that Korakuen Hall show, we had the little mini tournament to decide who would be facing for the red belt at Dream Queendom, and Maika came out on top, beating Amisori and Momo Watanabe to claim the right to face the winner of Suzu Suzuki and Hazuki at Nagoya Big Winter for the belt at Dream Queendom.
Right.
So this is like what everyone wanted for Maika, essentially.
Yes. We found ourselves rooting for Momo a little bit. We'll just say, because it's another one, Mighty Has Fallen kind of things.
It is. And Maika, was like determined to face Suzu again. She was like, she called Suzu out. She's like, I know you're watching. Come out here. And like, she was like, don't lose because we have unfinished business, essentially.
Well, with Momo and her story, one of the most interesting things to me, it goes back to her purposely throwing the match to go to a Oedo.
Yeah.
But not to go from being the leader
to being an underling.
To being an underling, so to say, and really floundering after that, like in so many ways.
Yeah.
But I've seen little things lately. Mm-hmm. And I know we'll get to it and when you're doing little highlights from the shows and stuff.
Yes.
But I don't know if you even mention it because it's such a opening match or second match.
Right.
And I believe in the Osaka show.
Right, the most recent one.
The most recent one on December 7th.
Yeah, I have it. I have you.
Okay, you got me on that. Okay,
yes.
well, just remember that, folks.
I will, yes. Keep it in mind. Because that brings us to Nagoya Big Winter, where we saw some pretty amazing things happen. The first half of the show was a little forgettable, but it was fun at the same time. You know, it was like those undercard matches that you love to see. But
yeah, but Roger was like,
I was like, please,
the last
please.
the last half of this card better kick ass.
And it did. It delivered.
I was
on
actually
all fronts.
scared. I was.
We saw May Sarah and Julia retain their respective titles over Tekla and Azumi in two amazing matches. Sariano came out to ask Mirai for her rematch for the Wonder of Stardom title belt at Dream Queendom, which she will be getting after that amazing time limit draw match.
Oh, God, it's so hard for me.
And we also saw Micah and Megan Bain take on Aphrodite of Utami and Saya Kamatani for the Goddess of Stardom championships.
What a match.
Holy crap.
What a damn match.
It was incredible.
What a damn match.
And almost like, I honestly was not sure which way this was going to go. And I mean, but from the jump, I was pro Aphrodite the whole way. I love Divine Kingdom. They're an amazing tag team. But just seeing Aphrodite in the ring, the way they move, the way they work together, it's flawless.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So lucky are we that Divine Kingdom was an amazing tag team.
Yeah. I mean, we might not have even gotten that as a tag team if things had
no way.
not happened the way they did.
No way would that was not going to be a tag team.
But they're so good.
They are.
They're so good together. And we got to see Utami and Saya Kamatani come out on top as the new Goddess of Stardom tag team champions.
Amazing.
With a little challenge afterwards from their old friends in Oedo Tai, Natsuka Tora, and Momo Watanabe.
And some very awkwardness.
Oh, God, it's so awkward.
Some very awkwardness.
Natsuka Tora has it out for Utami Hayashishita. She does not think she's a good leader still. She does not think she should be in charge of Queen's Quest.
Really?
I don't think so. I think she's in love with her. But I digress on that, honestly.
Right. Okay.
But it's still so interesting because we had that cage match.
Yeah.
We had Queen's Quest won.
We blown off, baby.
Oedo Tai should leave them alone, but Natsuka Tora will not leave it alone. So maybe Momo will do a double take and round back around to Queen's Quest.
I'm telling you, man, somebody's in Tora's ear.
Oh, we also saw Suzu Suzuki beat Hazuki in the main event to get her rightful red belt match at Dream Queendom against Micah.
Another one that's very difficult for the fans.
It is, yes.
Because it's another one of those cases of someone who totally deserves it.
Yes.
But it's not her. It's just not her time.
It's not. And she's been around lately, seeming a little like she maybe doesn't want to be where she is.
Well, I mean, I think that could be a lot of us wanting her to be.
True, that could be me projecting.
She's a natural heel.
She is.
I don't care how much Hazuki smiles.
No, she needs to go back to Oedo Tai.
Or picks up a fan and takes a picture.
She just looks like her face says heel.
She looks like she wants to throw the baby in the floor. She looks like she. It
seems like she's babysitting Hanan and Saida lately, and carrying them around through not even really getting involved. She's like, you guys just go play, and I'll just hang out here. She's like the cool older sister.
Because Hanan and Ida are totally stars.
They are. Wingori is amazing.
They just look like, and Kuma. They're all members of Stars.
I miss Kuma.
Maya Itani is Stars. Yes. Something about Hazuki.
It just doesn't feel the same.
Something about Hazuki's feels so phony to me.
She's just smiling through it.
She needs to dye her hair black. She needs to have on way too much eyeshadow and red lipstick, and she needs to have on black gear, white boots,
some purple maybe.
Some purple in there, purple splashes.
Yes. I agree completely. I love her in Stars. I love FWC as a tag team.
Imagine her in purple and black gear with her hair wet, like black, but her hair wet, pulled back, right?
Yes.
And like some sunglasses on or something, and just
she
coming out.
She looks like a bad girl.
Yeah, motorcycle boots. I mean, she looks that way because she is that way.
Yes, history will repeat itself.
And she fights that way.
Mark my words.
Whenever she's in there, she doesn't fight like flowers coming out her butt.
Not like the rest of them.
No, she fights like it's like
she
lightning.
Beats the crap out of people.
Yeah.
And enjoys it.
Yes. She's a heel.
We love her for it,
All
too.
Right.
Then the next night on December 3rd, there were a few things I wanted to mention, such as this continuing like contempt between May Sarah and Hanan that's been going on since their New Blood match that went to a draw. Like they had a 6-man match where after it ended, May and Hanan were just completely at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And I assume that we're heading towards a Hanan high-speed title shot, maybe?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, and I love it.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird, but there's definitely some heat there. Not Suzu Micah heat, but yeah.
No. It's May Sarah with the heat, which is weird for her.
It is.
And Hanan, like...
But May Sarah is another one of those, man, that she is not as sweet as she seems.
Right, no. Especially if she thinks like she owed something, I guess.
May Sarah's the one that's going to get out of trouble with that cute little, like
right?
giggles and smiles, but she's evil. She's got it in her.
We've seen the mean streak.
Oh, yeah.
But the biggest thing that happened on December 3rd was a new faction member. So exciting.
Oh, my God.
We got to see Scandinavian Hurricane join God's Eye officially, where she belongs. They didn't even have to think on it. Like, she just got here, and they're like, "Oh, you're in God's Eye."
Dude, the first time, we could lie about this, but we're not.
No, as soon as we saw her against Sherry, like we're like, "Oh,
God's Eye."
That's a God's Eye member.
And we always do that. We place people.
We have all the young girls placed. We have people in factions placed in different factions.
Yeah.
As you just heard.
Always placed where they need to go. And she was like the most natural fit maybe ever.
Oh, yeah. Like there's zero question where she needed to go.
Yeah. And we love her. Like you can tell how smooth she is.
It looks so good.
Because, footwork, man. And
she's been getting a lot of shots lately, too.
Yeah.
Especially when you see her against Julia. Like,
what's your favorite thing that she does?
Oh, God, my favorite thing that she does is probably her kicks to the head.
My favorite thing is a kick, but it's her into the ropes.
Oh, yes.
The bounce off roundhouse.
Yes, that's so cool.
And it's cool because she gets the momentum and the way she almost goes through the ropes. And every time the fans, especially in towns that haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, they're like, oh.
Ooh, I love that.
She like flips back.
It's like what I wouldn't give to earn that Japanese ooh.
Yeah, she's so smooth. She's so natural. She fits in so well.
Yeah.
It's like she's been there for years.
I love it.
It's perfect.
I love it.
And she's had all these singles matches.
Sherry seems so happy.
Oh, Sherry's enthused.
Yeah.
She loves having new members. She's like, come to
Hopefully
me.
soon we'll get someone else back and
yes.
It'll be good.
On the 6th of December, we saw Suzu and May Sarah take on Julia and Tekla in a match that was very interesting, mostly for its ending, because Suzu and May won the match, and Suzu got the mic and was like, it's been a while since we've had fun in the ring and got to mix it up, and after I beat Micah at Dream Queendom, I'd love to face you, Julia, next. Mm-hmm. And Julia took the mic and said, don't lose.
Yeah.
Putting Suzu in favor over her own faction member, perhaps?
That's totally what she said. It was real weird. May Sarah, even if you watch the house show, yes, I watch it this closely, walking out the door, May Sarah turns back around like, who the hell are you? Like,
she's like, what?
What did you just say?
You want her to beat Micah?
And it was the thing I love because it happened so quickly.
Yeah, and it was such a small thing in the grand scheme of like a whole night of matches.
Nobody's even picked up on it. I'm not seeing it listed anywhere.
I guess it's like she promised me a title match. That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't lose and we'll see or whatever. Yeah. But it felt like more than that.
Yeah, it's totally
like a vouch for Suzu.
Well, think about this. How did I will watch my tongue. How did Micah act over the last couple of weeks?
That's
before
fair.
that? Micah was a crybaby, sore loser.
Yes.
Like,
she wasn't getting a title match and she was pissed about it.
We're all happy about her right now.
Yeah.
you know, because it's easy to love Micah. But we were pissed.
Yeah,
we
she
were
had a
just
horrible
like,
attitude.
what a terrible person she is. And
she was costing matches.
Yeah,
and
it was just like crapping all over the thing. Why wouldn't Julia feel that way?
Yeah, like maybe she wants Suzu to have. I mean, Suzu's her friend.
Yes,
longtime friend.
Yeah, she's the one that screwed Suzu.
Yeah,
you know, it wasn't the other way around. And so I don't know. It's very interesting.
And the final show we got to see was on December 7th in Osaka. It was very weird because of the weather. There was like not that many people there.
Yeah.
They kind of just shoved like 5 matches into the show with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But there was this one match I wanted to mention because it was Miyu Amasaki, Hanako, and Yuzuki versus Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora.
Mm-hmm.
And this match was so fun because it was Miyu Amasaki taking the lead and leading these 2 girls who were still, like, Hanako's still fairly new and Yuzuki's brand new.
Right.
So she was the senpai in this context here.
Absolutely.
And they were going against Oedo Tai, and she was on it from the start. She was like, let's get them, attack before they are even ready.
She even looked different. It was weird.
She was telling everybody what to do.
We spotted as soon as it came through.
Yeah, she had her hair done different. She was ready.
We were just like, man, she's acting different. She's even telling them, let's go, let's stand like this, let's do this. The whole match, you know, it was really that way.
Yes.
And it felt right.
It did, but the match didn't go their way, of course, because they're facing Oedo Tai. And following the match, Momo had some pretty choice words for Miyu, calling her a loser and telling her, like, you're trying to lead these people. I feel bad for them.
She's like, Amasaki, it's been 2 years and you've not progressed at all.
Where was I 2 years into my career here?
Yeah.
Like, just shaming her.
And she told the other girls, like, you need to go back to training.
Yes. She did.
You need to get back in the dojo basically and get off TV.
Yeah, she was like, I feel bad for them for you being their senpai. Like, that's how bad you are.
Yeah, and that at that moment, because of where Amasaki is connected to.
Right, she is a Queen's Quest member.
And who Momo was also, you know.
Yes.
And it just felt like very much because who was the first member after Utami, you know, when Utami fought Amasaki in Amasaki's debut match.
Yes.
And at New Blood 1.
Yes. She was like, come join Queen's Quest.
Yeah, she brought her to Queen's Quest.
Yes.
And
she was very impressed with her.
So if you're looking at, is Utami a good leader or not, is it Amasaki's fault or would it be the leader's fault?
Right.
Did she pick the wrong person?
Yeah.
Or did she not develop the person?
You're thinking Momo's like, what are you doing to my faction?
Right.
Like, that was my faction and you're ruining
like
it.
You would never be in the faction if it was mine.
Right.
And that's what I'm kind of getting, those little vibes that you can't get that out of it because you were the leader.
Yeah. Because she still has connections there.
Yeah.
I mean, she still got to feel a certain way about Queen's Quest.
And it's Japan. They never forget.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's something that happened in 1980. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to be mentioned or thought of or something.
Absolutely.
so that's always active. Like the canon is the canon. And it can always be called back to. It's like calling back to a 1974 Godzilla movie. It's like, you know.
So you don't think it's Natsuko Tora that has it out for Queen's Quest necessarily?
No, I think it's Momo.
You think Momo's there like, look at these Queen's Quest people. They're terrible. Like,
I think
Utami's a terrible leader.
I think if I was making a television show, like a movie, like a scripted movie,
right,
that Momo would be pulling all the strings.
I mean, she's the natural next leader of Oedo Tai.
Yeah.
And speaking of Oedo Tai, we've also seen Ruaka gain a little. She's been having a lot of singles matches.
She has.
And there's been some interesting stuff, like with Nanae Takahashi telling her she doesn't believe this is where Ruaka belongs or that this is her final form. And I think Ruaka's getting a little frustrated. Like, she even left her suitcase after that last match.
She did. She left it out there. And Nanae, very much the babyface Momo.
Yes.
That is saying the same thing, you know, with Ruaka. So lots of things going on. And you can tell that I think we're going to get a soft reboot.
Yes. The sands are shifting.
And I think that you almost have to.
Yeah, something needs to give.
That you really want something to happen. I mean, show attendance, which we've sworn never to talk about, but with show attendance dipping.
Yes.
And that's going to happen whenever there's a little bit of controversy, and there's been controversy, and there's been things, and then people, as I always say, they dogpile on anything, right?
Yeah.
If there's somebody sneezing, all of a sudden it's like everybody has COVID, and they need to, no, they might just have a cold.
Yes.
Can we let them get better, please? They've never been sick before.
Exactly.
A single day.
Yeah.
But with Stardom, that's not the case, because you go back a few years, they were sick.
Yes.
And very sick.
Yes.
And they had to fix that. Now, that's happened a couple of times. You go back to the incident that shall not be named.
Yeah.
We had to work our way out of that.
Of course.
And then we had to work our way out of some other crap that happened, right? And then we got bought by Bushy Road, and everything went well.
Yeah, but there's always going to be a time when you have to shake things up and move people around. Like, give people something fresh.
And if the injuries had not happened, sometimes things happen. Well, always things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
But as hard as it's been, the injuries being down, the bright side is we've developed stars that would not have been developed.
Yes, and they're ready to go.
When the stars come back, we've got new stars too.
Yes.
Stacked. Ready to go. So
absolutely. Soft
relaunch, hard relaunch, however you want to do it. I really feel that Dream Queendom, by the time we get to the 1/4 show at Tokyo Dome, that'll be the start of the new world.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if at Dream Queendom we saw someone change factions, if we saw like factionless people get put in factions finally.
I think that comes down to Suzu. I think when Suzu wins the belt. Yeah,
then Micah is going to go to a dark place, I imagine.
Yeah, and I think Suzu starts her faction.
Yes.
At that point.
We can only hope. So, leading off of this, we're in the midst of the year-end tour right now, and the only shows left that we haven't seen yet from the year-end tour are from December 9th and 10th. There will be one on the 17th and one on the 23rd, wherein Saki Kashima will be making her return.
Yeah.
So we'll get Saki back. On December 24th is year-end Climax in Korakuen Hall, which we now have the official card for. We'll be seeing a Dream Queendom prelude where Julia, Micah, and Mirai will take on Suzu Suzuki, Megan Bayne, and Sariano.
Oh, that's amazing.
We'll see Utami, Saya Kamatani, Azumi, Hina, Miyu Amasaki, and Lady C take on Natsuka Tora, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Ruaka, Rina, and Fukigen Death in a 12-person tag match.
Oh my god.
Amazing. Shiri and Amisori versus Nanai Takahashi and Yu.
Yes.
Mai Sakurai and Tekla versus Hazuki and Saya Ida. Mina Shirakawa versus Saki Kashima versus Yuna Mizumori. Hanan versus Hanako, and Mei Seira versus Yuzuki. So just an overall fun Korakuen Hall card leading into the end of the year. It's going to be a big one and probably set in stone the final pieces for Dream Queendom.
Oh, absolutely.
5 days later. The day after that, on Christmas, we will get New Blood 12. And New Bloods are always good fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see new people and get some fun little matches that you wouldn't normally get to see.
Yeah, I love New Blood.
And then on December 29th, it is Dream Queendom. I wouldn't be surprised if we snuck in an update episode between the 24th and the 29th leading into Dream Queendom to talk about everything that's happened with year-end Climax and all that after the holidays. But at Dream Queendom, we now have the full card. We will have Hina and Lady C versus Yuna Mizumori, and Saki versus Tekla and Mai Sakurai versus Amisori and Saki Kashima. Azumi and Yu and Nai Takahashi versus Mei Seira, Shiri, and Mina Shirakawa. Mayu Iwatani making her return, with Hanan, Hazuki, and Saida versus Starlight Kid, Rina, Fukigen Death, and Ruaka. A strong open-weight title match where Julia will be taking on Megan Bayne. The Goddess of Stardom tag team title match, Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani versus Momo Watanabe and Natsuka Tora. A Wonder of Stardom title match, Mirai versus Sariano. And the World of Stardom title match, Suzu Suzuki versus Micah.
Jesus, what a card.
And we will talk more about that in our lead-up show to it, but just having all of that to come in the next 2 weeks is insane.
It is.
So many good matches.
It is, and we're going to find out so much. That's what's so cool. Most all those shows are major shows.
They are, yes.
You know, it's going to be great. The year-end climax is always something special, and then going into Queendom, I mean, it's going to be such a big deal, man.
So excited.
I am too. I can't wait. It's going to be, you know, I don't even know. I have the words for
Me
it.
either.
I'm just super excited about it.
Me too, yeah.
Because I love when you know that it's going to shock and awe. Yeah.
And that's not to mention freaking World's End on the 30th. Like, we have so much.
Yeah,
so much to end the year off with.
That's not to mention all of the indie stuff and all of the other big Japanese shows that have women's matches on them. And, you know, at this time of year, traditionally, Japan does it right, man.
Jam-packed.
Does it right. So I'm super excited.
It's a reason to celebrate.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like it's a holiday time or something.
Oh, yeah, you'd think.
Yeah.
But now we have the gift that keeps on giving, because we are going to jump straight into our feature about Athena, the fallen goddess.
Yes. And my God, we talked about it being a new moon. It's almost an ember moon. And it's time to find out everything you ever wanted to know about a fallen goddess.
So let's start at the beginning.
It's a good place.
Adrienne Reese, born and raised in Texas, who we now know as Athena, loved wrestling growing up, became a fan thanks to her grandfather, who also loved wrestling. She was an athlete from the get-go, played tennis, softball, soccer. She was in chess club, did mathletes, so smart as well as athletic. But she was also, as we have heard before, bullied very severely in school growing up because of her love of video games and professional wrestling. You're a nerd and you just want to enjoy your things, okay? There's no reason for people to be mean about it. So Athena began her training in April of 2007 at the age of 18. She was first trained by Skandor Akbar down in Texas, and then went on to Booker T's Pro Wrestling Alliance, which was rebranded as Reality of Wrestling. And Booker T, of course, does amazing work with those girls down there.
Long line of them.
Yes, and she talks about how when she was coming up with her character, some people, you know, turn themselves up to 11 when they are in their character. She wanted hers to be everything she was not. She talks about how Athena was disrespectful, in your face, loud, brash. Like, she was not that. She was very shy,
right,
very reserved and introvert. But when she got out there in this sort of war goddess-esque gimmick, she was just completely different, and she owned it. So the first 8 years of her career, Athena wrestled on the Indies in Texas and around that area. Most notably, she wrestled for Anarchy Championship Wrestling, where she was the ACW American Joshi Champion 3 times for a total of 351 days, and the ACW Televised Champion for 154 days. She also wrestled for Absolute Intense Wrestling, where she was AIW Women's Champion for 454 days. And then from 2010 through 2015, she was a mainstay in Shimmer, and also regularly wrestled for other exclusively female promotions, Shine and Women's Superstars Uncensored. So she was really deep into that, like, mainly women's wrestling scene.
Yeah, and in the super indie craze as well. That's
Absolutely.
when the super indie explosion happened. And, you know, just to chime in on some of your already comments, being trained by AK, one of the greatest heels in Texas wrestling history, and really in pro wrestling manager history too. It just really forms those Texas roots, and
right.
He's so loved by so many in the business. That makes perfect sense to me. Also, her background, I can tell you from experience that the nicest people that I've ever met or been around in the professional wrestling spectrum has been the heels. And the ones that I haven't liked as much, oddly enough, have been the baby faces.
The heels are just those sad little kids that just want to belong.
Most of the time, you truly are putting something out there. And I know, yes, she's right. It's supposed to be you up to 11, but sometimes you up to 11 is the thing you never were.
You never could be.
Yeah. And just speaking from experience.
Right. Also, in 2013, she actually had a short run in Ring of Honor where she had a lot of matches, mainly against Mischief at the time.
Yep.
So she had a short little stint back then.
Right.
Before the amazing run we know of now.
Right.
So that brings us to her signing her developmental contract with WWE in September of 2015. This is where we see the first rise of Athena, also known as Ember Moon at the time.
Right.
So starting on October 10th, she wrestled for the first time under her real name, Adrienne Reese, on NXT Live house shows and dark matches during NXT TV tapings. So when she turned into Ember Moon 8 months later, in June 2016, she was still sort of wrestling off of TV. And she wrestled people like Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Emma, Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose, Nia Jax, Carmella, and Liv Morgan. That's sort of the group she was in with when she first got there. But she was mainly off TV for like the first year that she was in NXT. It was all live shows and dark matches during TV tapings. So after
there's so much to compete against at that time period.
Yeah, there's so many good people in NXT at the time. After a lot of back and forth about her character, Ember Moon was born as this sort of supernatural creature with bright red eyes and that still that war goddess styling, but it was like, is she a werewolf? Is she a vampire?
Right.
What is she? She got these blood red eyes. It's crazy. Like she howls.
And some of the best entrances in the history of NXT.
She's just so creative.
So good.
So she made her debut nearly a year after signing her contract at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 on August 20th, 2016, where she beat Billie Kay in a 4.5-minute match.
Yes.
But she won her debut on a TakeOver, which is a pretty high-profile debut.
Deal, yeah. I remember it vividly.
Yes, and she, right out of the gate, she went on a winning streak. Like, she started her NXT TV career completely undefeated.
Yep.
She was just on, like, a high run there.
She had the look, she had the move, she had the entrance, she was the total package.
Absolutely. So, this streak continued for 8 months until April 1st, 2017, where she met the NXT Women's Champion, Asuka, at NXT TakeOver Orlando.
Yeah.
And of course, Asuka was also undefeated. So one of them had to end their winning streak.
Right.
And that was Ember Moon. This would be her first loss that she took in NXT against Asuka, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's Asuka, who is legendary.
I will say, I didn't agree with it then. I don't agree with it now.
Yes. Well, this is sort of, in my opinion, where they began to fumble the ball because she fought her way back to the top over a couple of months from April until August 19th, 2017, where they were back in Brooklyn, where she debuted literally like a day before she had debuted.
Right.
The last year.
Right.
She gets a rematch against Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
And she loses.
Yep.
She loses to Asuka, who was undefeated, yes, but who also vacated the title 5 days later.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it have been such a good story
to
have Ember Moon just end her streak there, get the title, and send her on her way? Like, why vacate the title? Why take it in that direction?
So at the time, I thought, what a great story it would be because Asuka's already main roster.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great story it would be for her to lose this match and Athena to avenge her loss.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Asuka goes up and doesn't think anything about it. Asuka continues to win up there, right?
Right.
Goes undefeated for, let's say, a year.
Right.
And then Ember Moon shows up.
Yeah.
And they could use the story.
Oh, it would have been
the
so good.
only person to ever beat Asuka.
It could have been so good. It could have been amazing.
Yeah.
Instead, it was like just this. It feels so anticlimactic
Because
for
it was.
Ember Moon to lose this match and Asuka to just vacate the title 5 days later.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. And I understand the mystique of the undefeated streak in NXT.
So I don't think that's something we blame HBK for.
No.
I believe that's probably Vince.
Yeah, probably.
You
I would say so.
Because if you remember historically, they gave no craps about anything that happened on NXT,
No.
any kind of storylines they had going, anything like that. They had to always work around the main roster. And for many years, NXT was to me, the absolute premier brand
Yeah.
of the three.
Yeah, absolutely. So the title's vacant. It was vacant for a while. On September 14th, 2017, a month later, Ember Moon defeated Ruby Riott and Sonya Deville in a qualifying match to get a chance at the vacant title. And during this run that she was doing, trying to get back to the title, she also had a win over Mercedes Martinez, which I thought was interesting because that would come into play much later.
That's super interesting. I forgot that she was even there.
She was there for a bit. So on November 18th, at NXT TakeOver War Games 2017, 3 months after losing the title match to Asuka, the title's been vacant this entire time. 3 months of vacancy. Ember defeated Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, and Kairi Sane in a fatal 4-way match to finally become the NXT Women's Champion.
Right.
And well-deserved.
Oh,
she
absolutely.
should have been champion those entire 3 months,
Absolutely.
in my opinion. So during her 140-day reign, Ember had 4 title defenses on TV, 3 of which were against her main rival, Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
If you count house shows, though, she defended the title a total of 14 times because, as we know, she's going to show up and wrestle.
Yep.
Literally as much as she possibly can.
Absolutely.
During those matches, she defeated the likes of Bianca Belair, Sonya Deville, and Lacey Evans. Like, she was no slouch.
Right.
As the champion. She also competed in the first ever all-women's Royal Rumble in January of 2018 while she was still NXT Women's Champion. So her feud with Shayna Baszler led first to a title match at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia on January 27th, 2018, where Ember retained. And then 2 weeks later, on February 14th episode of NXT, Shayna beat Ember by disqualification, which meant she won the match, but not the title.
Right.
So over the next couple of months, Ember would only appear in in-ring competition 1 time on NXT TV in a non-title match against Aaliyah. And then it all came to a head when she dropped the title to Shayna Baszler at NXT TakeOver New Orleans on April 7th, 2018, and was subsequently called up to the main roster.
Right.
So all in all, not a title run with much fanfare.
Not what you thought it would be, and
No.
especially it didn't match the fanfare.
It did not.
To speak of the fanfare, because the fans went absolutely nuts.
Yes.
Every time Ember came out, and they loved her so much.
But I mean, 4 matches on NXT TV over 140 days is ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Especially with the same opponent 3 times.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
To think about, especially knowing the amazing title runs and stuff they had before, doing that story on the 4 Horsewomen and everything. It makes me so mad.
And that's one of the things that makes me upset when people criticize the women's division in AEW. Obviously, there's always things that can be done better, right?
Yes.
But when you look at the wonderful development that they've done with Athena, which, and it has to be the right place, right time, right opportunities.
Of course.
And she's one of those that grabs the brass ring. She give her the opportunity, she's going to take it. Not everybody would.
Yes.
But at the same time, that's fantastic. Arguably one of the best developments that we've had from anybody from WWE that's come down has been Athena, has been Ember Moon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been insane. So after losing the title to Shayna Baszler, 2 days later, she appeared on Monday Night Raw, tagging with Nia Jax and winning a match against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. And then right off the bat, a month into her main roster run, she defeated Ruby Riott and Sasha Banks to qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So she competed in that alongside Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Naomi, Natalya on June 17th, 2018. Of course, she didn't win. She's brand new to the main roster. She's in there with those people, like the big names up there.
Right.
But she was in it. She qualified. She got in. That's a pretty big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
And during her main roster run as a whole, she was mainly pitted almost exclusively on Raw against the Riott Squad. So Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Those were like her main opponents the whole time she was on Raw. She teamed regularly with the Boston Hug Connection, Dana Brooke, and even Ronda Rousey on a Raw in Texas for an under 2-minute match. You know when they say they used to be tag team partners?
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. That was their tag team there for
That's
that
why we
one
didn't
night.
remember it. Makes all the sense now.
Oh, goodness. So while the end of 2018 didn't really see her in any big storylines, she did wrestle in the Battle Royal at WWE Evolution and had a little nice babyface record. Like, she won most of the matches she was in, tag team matches and such with Sasha and Bayley and all that. So she was mostly like a babyface, you know?
Yeah.
So in January 2019, she competed in her second Women's Royal Rumble, during which she suffered an elbow injury and had to be out for a little while, which just put a damper on the whole main roster thing.
Right.
She returned on April 7th at WrestleMania 35 in the Women's Battle Royal on the kickoff show. So that was her nice little return a couple months later.
They love those battle royals for her.
They do, yes, on kickoff shows. She's great in a battle royal, apparently.
Yeah, right.
She also wrestled in the 2019 Money in the Bank ladder match and didn't win,
Yeah.
but she was there.
Right, I remember that too.
She was then shuffled to SmackDown to kind of begin anew, where she feuded against Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, you know, like the opposite Riott Squad over on that side. They were not nice to her. They bullied her. And Bayley was nice enough to step up and help her with that little predicament.
Right.
Bayley at the time was the SmackDown Women's Champion. So they teamed up on July 16th, 2019 on an episode of SmackDown, defeated Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville in a match that lasted 1 minute and 35 seconds to blow off that feud.
Wow.
Completely. After that match, Bayley decided she wanted Ember to be her opponent at SummerSlam for the women's title. So on August 11th, 2019, Bayley defeated Ember Moon to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. And following this, Ember Moon went on a losing streak. Over the next month, she pretty much lost every match she was in. And then on September 23rd, 2019, she suffered an Achilles injury against Lacey Evans that put her on the shelf for over a year.
My gosh.
And this would spell the end of Ember Moon's main roster
Right.
run, which is just, if you look at it, kind of sad.
Very much.
She was in some really big matches. She got a championship match at SummerSlam, which is huge, but nothing really came of any of it.
It's all big on paper.
It is.
That's one of those.
It's like the accolades, like I was in the Money in the Bank match, but
Right.
like if you're like us and you're looking for the story and things, like it just doesn't hit
Right.
any of the bases that we want.
Right. But if you're Michael Cole and somebody's made a return, that's all the accolades they well, it's a Money Bank, Money in the Bank 2017. And
Right.
that's just, it's sound bites.
Yeah.
There's no heart to it.
Yes. So after that, when she was gearing up for her return, she had a plan. Her plan was to call Triple H. She didn't talk to her friends. She didn't talk to her family. She called Hunter and was like, please let me come back to NXT. Hunter was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make this work. I'll see what I can do. And a couple weeks later, he texted her and he was like, we got you back.
Right.
So she was happy about that. Ember wanted to go back to NXT. She didn't feel she fit in on the main roster or that there was any place for her. So she wanted to go back to NXT and where she felt she was at home, where she knew how things were done. She felt like they were actually going to like give her things that would elevate her rather than what she had been given on the main roster. So she was really excited about it. She wanted to rebrand her character a little bit into more of a Mad Max thing without the bright red eyes and the howling. She still wanted to be Ember Moon, but she didn't want to be like, she wanted her work and her talent to speak for itself.
Right.
Above the gimmicky like contacts.
She's an artist.
She is, absolutely.
Yeah, she's an artist, and this is a little girl's dream.
Yes.
It's not somebody they found at a mall.
No.
During an athletic competition. It's not somebody that they found in a modeling magazine that they paid a lot of money to that didn't really give a damn whether they made it or not and was shoved everything.
Yes.
I don't know how many times that they've thrown certain people back at us.
Yeah. At this point in her career, she's been wrestling for 12 years.
Yeah.
And she wants to go back to NXT because they don't have anything for her.
And she can wrestle any style. She can wrestle anyone.
Yes.
She can make anything happen and not given chance. It's just really a sad up to that point.
Yes.
It's really sucky.
It's like you get signed to NXT in 2015 and you're like, look, this is it. I'm making it.
For me, having a lot of daughters, it bugs me because I think of that sparkle in that little girl's eye.
Yeah.
That loved the wrestling, this is all she ever wanted, and getting that opportunity, and how low you have to feel.
Yeah.
How terrible you have to feel about yourself and about everything. Hey, you got to self-doubt. I mean, it's natural, right? Something's wrong with me.
Exactly.
And that's what I hate about it when this story happens to anyone. And unfortunately, during this time period.
Oh, gosh, it was rampant.
Yeah.
Like, this was right when the women's revolution really started, when the Four Horsewomen went up to the main roster. That was right when Ember Moon came in to NXT, and it was all sort of brand new, but still looking at like the time limits or the lengths of these matches that the women were having and stuff, it's just mind-boggling to think about.
It is.
The under 5-minute matches were insane back then.
It reminds me of the old adage, show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
And it's really, hey, we can say we're this, we can say we're that, we can say we have this culture.
Right.
But if you don't live the culture, do you really have anything just because you can say the flowery words? I don't think so.
Yeah. So she was really excited about this. She was pumped to go back to NXT. They filmed a bunch of vignettes about this mystery person on a motorcycle. Nobody knew who it was going to be. She's been out of action for over a year at this point because of her Achilles injury. And then on October 4th, 2020, at NXT TakeOver 31, the mysterious figure appeared after the NXT Women's Championship match between Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, took off her helmet, and revealed herself to be the new and improved Ember Moon, which... what a return, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
You gotta imagine there's some big stuff happening.
Yeah, man.
So at the end of 2020, on December 6th, she was one of the members of NXT War Games, along with Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and Shotzi Blackheart. Unfortunately, they lost to Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm, who had also just come in at that time to join the other side. So she's in there. She's still like a little lost in the shuffle at the moment, but they're doing things. Things are happening. And one of the big things that happened in this second run for her in NXT was a tag team storyline where she teamed with Shotzi Blackheart over the course of 2021. Mm-hmm. They were a team together in the first ever Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for women, the women's version, and they beat their opponents in the first two matches to make it to the final on February 14th, 2021 at NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, where they unfortunately lost to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez.
Right.
But this was not the end of their tag team run, because not even a month later, on March 10th, they had a match against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. And this is another thing that makes me kind of mad, okay? Kai and Gonzalez had earned a match against the main roster tag team champions for winning the Dusty Classic. There was a screwy finish in that match where Dakota Kai got submitted, even though she was not the legal person. So they lost. In response, William Regal created the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. First ever. He decided, instead of making this match on March 10th for the first ever title reign, he gave the titles to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, making them officially the first ever NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And if you look at the title reigns on Wikipedia or Cage Match or whatever, they are listed as the first champions for less than a day because they lost this match to Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, who are technically the second ever NXT Women's Tag Team Champions.
Right. Even though it should have been for the belts.
Yes.
Like for the first inaugural.
Who has belts for less than a day? I mean, I'm sure it's happened before.
Well, yeah, but it shouldn't have been awarded to anyone. We shouldn't have had champions coming in.
The argument is that they got them because they won the Tag Team Classic. But if that were the case, why not make their reign stretch back to that like a month earlier when they won the Tag Team Classic? It just didn't make sense at all. So in the end, Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart won this match on March 10th to become the the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. So they're doing great. They're having fun. They defended the titles 2 times over the course of their 55-day reign over The Way, which was Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, at NXT Stand and Deliver on April 8th, 2021. But that feud continued until May 4th when Ember and Shotzi faced The Way once more in a street fight and were dethroned as the tag team champions. They had a few more little chances to get back into the title scene as tag team, and Ember, when giving interviews, talks about how much she enjoyed this run with Shotzi and how they were hitting on all cylinders. She knew that Shotzi was doing main roster tryouts and that she was supposed to be going back to the main roster. She was supposed to be on NXT for like a year and then be going back up because there was like that whole transition with NXT going to TV. They needed more people, but she was supposed to be going back to the main roster. So as one does, she assumed she and Shotzi would be called up as this tag team they'd created and have been doing so well with. But on July 8th, Shotzi Blackheart debuted on the main roster in a tag team with Tegan Nox, and Ember Moon was left behind on NXT by herself. And she talked about getting that call about Shotzi getting called up and how happy she was for her, and then hearing that it was in a tag team capacity and just feeling like this gut-wrenching feeling like, but we were the tag team. We were doing this thing. It was working so well. And she just didn't understand why they put her with Tegan. And I can't even imagine like that feeling of seeing someone that you've been working with these past few months just go up with that. Like when you were on the main roster before and then they're not going to bring you back. It just feels terrible.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
So Triple H did apologize to her about it and said they try to figure things out. So they sat down and came up with a storyline where Ember Moon would turn heel following a losing streak. Her idea was to start losing to these up-and-coming talents to kind of get them over more, and she would get so frustrated that she'd end up turning heel and sort of revitalize her character. Everyone loved the idea. Everyone was on board. Things were set up. They were like, we have A, B, C, D. We're ready for this. We're going to do this match here, and we're going to start you off, and things are going to go great. And then in September of 2021, Triple H got sick. And we all know what happened to NXT following that.
Yes.
It was a very sad time, and things were scary, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So during her last 4 months in WWE, Ember Moon had 4 matches. One of which was a favor she did by wrestling a 205 Live match against Cora Jade in the main event. She did end up having a few losses to Dakota Kai, Kaylee Ray, and Mandy Rose, but each match was more than a month apart, and it was very stop and go, and there was nothing like really coming from it, no real direction. Nobody could tell her anything, like what was going to happen. There was a match against Saray that got canceled, like it was just a mess. So following her match with Mandy Rose on October 5th, 2021, she received a note that said, "It's time. we're pulling the trigger. And oh yeah, in 2 weeks from now, we want you to dye your hair back to the fire red, pull out the contacts. Vince McMahon wants to turn you heel as your old character, as the old Ember Moon with the bright red hair, the bright red contacts. So she's like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. I can do that. I'm good. She was excited. She's like, it's finally happening. She started the process to dye her hair, which takes forever because she does it herself. Like, she was good. She was ready to go.
Right.
So she even filmed a demo, like showing the vibes that she wanted to come back with. And she had it ready to go, ready to show everyone after they filmed TV one night. And she was just told, we got some bad news. Vince is pulling you from TV indefinitely. And this was around the time that NXT 2.0 was starting. They were going in a different direction. They had nothing for her. And she was confused and upset by this. Like,
right.
She's like, I did everything you asked. I was in a tag team, which I don't even really like to do tag team wrestling because I have to depend on another person. Like, I bent over backwards. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And you're just telling me I'm not going to be on TV. They were like, it's not all bad. You can come and coach at the PC and like help the new people. And she wasn't very pleased with that. She was like, I've injured myself countless times. I've done all this stuff for you guys and you just want me to stick me in the PC and forget about me. And she basically said, I'm going home. Call me when you have something on TV for me. And then I'll come back. Like, cancel all my flights and hotels. I won't be back unless you have something for me. So she sat at home for about a month. And then on November 4th, 2021, she got the call, budget cuts.
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
And that was it. That was the sad end of Ember Moon's WWE run. And just to think that after all that, they just decided that, like, I understand that things changed. And obviously Triple H not being there anymore screwed a lot of people. Like, she was just caught in that whole thing that happened. It was a terrible time for NXT.
Yeah.
So that was just it. She wasn't happy anymore, really. She kept an extra bag in the locker room, and every day she was like, I think today I'm gonna quit. Like, she was just like, she knew it was coming for months, but she just never did it until they were like, you're not on TV anymore indefinitely. Right. Like, that word indefinitely is terrible.
Yeah, so many of those stories, and I don't know.
But of course, she had a while to think about it after that because she had a 90-day non-compete clause. So she got to sit at home and think about if she even still wanted to wrestle.
So she had the 90-day one.
Yes.
That sucks.
One of the first things, in an interview, she talked about how one of the first things she thought about when she was leaving was like, all right, how do I get a hold of Tony Khan? Because she sees all her friends over there having a good time. And she's like, that's like her number one immediately out of the gate. So she even wondered, like, if she should even still go on, if she should retire. She didn't know even what kind of character she wanted to do, if she should come up with something completely new, or if she should go back to her roots. It was actually her husband that suggested she go back to being Athena like she had been before. And she was like, no, I don't know. And then she was like, yeah, that's kind of a good idea. So props to him for stepping up for Athena. Yes. So instead of quitting the business, she made a hell of a comeback on the indie scene when on February 12th, 2022, she faced Thunder Rosa at Warrior Wrestling 19 in a 30-minute Broadway for the Warrior Women's title.
That we watched live.
Oh, God, it was majestic.
And we got so excited, and we got so fired up, and it was so amazing.
It was so good, and it was like that for her, too, because she was like, I've got bills to pay. I have to do something. I can't just sit here. I got to pay my mortgage. So she was kind of just doing it at first for the paycheck. But then after the match, like after going through the match, she was just so emotional. Like, she says that she can't remember ever crying happy tears like that because it just sort of lit this fire in her again.
Yeah.
And reminded her, she said it wasn't in front of 25,000 fans. It wasn't even it was only like 500 or 600 of the most passionate wrestling fans that appreciate everything you do in the ring.
Yeah.
And like every bump, every move, everything, like they're there for it.
Right.
And that's going to make you feel something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Especially after that many years of like being in front of fans that don't necessarily appreciate what you're doing.
No.
So that match sort of flipped a switch on for her again and made wrestling fun again. And over the next 3 months, she had more matches in Warrior Wrestling. She was at the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Super Show. She wrestled for Prestige and MPX and even had a match against Swerve at Wrestling Revolver.
Yeah. I think we basically seen that entire run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's totally our world.
She was just having fun again and getting back into it. So, I did want to mention around this time, she gave a short interview on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast with Rick Ucchino, where she talked about when she was in WWE, she had sort of a limited moveset imposed upon her. She said, I'm 5'1", and I was required to act like I was 5'1" and be a high flyer. But she is, like, she likes doing that stuff. She was like, no shade to anyone who does that stuff. It's cool. But she's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Despite being 5'1", she's like, I have a 400-pound deadlift. I can throw people around. She likened it to the feud between The Rock and Hurricane from 2003. She's like, 6 months, he's teasing this choke slam. Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? And then one night against The Rock, he finally hits it and everyone goes crazy. She's like, that's the kind of stuff I love about pro wrestling.
Right.
So going into AEW and Ring of Honor, she was excited to finally have an unfiltered moveset. Being able to do things that she actually wanted to do and like tell stories through her matches and without worrying so much like how you look and who needs to do what based on the way they look and that sort of thing.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting because she is a powerhouse in my mind. Like, I would never tag her as a high flyer.
What a low center of gravity, man. We know what that does.
Absolutely. On May 29th, 2022, Jade Cargill retained her TBS championship over Anna Jay in a match at AEW Double or Nothing. And in a post-match standoff between the baddies and Anna Jay and Chris Statlander, Athena made her debut in AEW to stand alongside Statlander and Anna Jay against Jade and Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet. And it was a beautiful moment. An absolutely amazing debut. She began her feud with Jade, making her in-ring debut on June 3rd on AEW Rampage, where she defeated Kiera Hogan, one of Jade's lackeys. She continued to wrestle across Rampage, Dynamite, both versions of Dark, where she went undefeated in singles matches, very similar to her beginnings in NXT almost.
It's a very Athena thing to do.
Yes, until her match against Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship on September 4th at AEW All Out, where she lost to the undefeated Jade, who was in the middle of her undefeated streak at this time.
Right.
So it made sense.
Yeah, it did.
It was a good match still. Like, but I don't think anyone expected at this point for Ember to come in and be like TBS champion.
Right.
But her matches up to this point were still really good. But things did seem a little off at first. She didn't really have a place among the women's roster at this point. She was part of a 4-way women's title match along with Britt Baker, Toni Storm, and Serena Deeb at AEW Grand Slam 2022. That was the night that Saraya debuted, so, you know, there's a lot going on right now in the women's division. Following that match, she sort of made a home for herself on the Dark brands on YouTube, where she began a massive singles winning streak.
Oh my God.
And completely changed the entire direction of the Athena storyline.
Yeah. From that one, was it Jody Threat?
Yes. On October 17th, 2022, on AEW Dark Elevation, Athena faced Jody Threat, who is a Canadian wrestler, and they were in Canada at the time. The crowd was very much behind Jody in this match, and Jody Threat attacked Athena before, like, the match really began. She was kind of taking some liberties.
Yeah.
In this, it's hard to blame her. She's, like, in her home country. Everyone's screaming for her. And Athena's just kind of doing her normal thing. She had kind of been forgotten in the shuffle a little bit. But this is where she would make herself known again.
Yeah.
Because early in the match, there was a point when Athena hit Jody with a pretty solid forearm. And the crowd reacted to it, And Athena was kind of apologetic. She was like, oh, did I do that? Sorry. Oh, I didn't mean that. But then it didn't take long for her frustration to mount enough until she had Jody Threat on the mat just wailing on her.
Yeah.
And then she picked her up in this standing suplex and tossed her over the ropes onto the floor on the outside.
I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Oh, she was not apologetic about that.
So beautiful.
She was not affected. She had a smile on her face. Everyone was booing at the top of their lungs. And this was like, that face she made was like the first glimpse of the true fallen goddess that we got to see. It was so beautiful. And you watching it, you just knew that this was something.
She instantly made herself must-see TV.
Absolutely, because you're like, oh, is that what she's doing?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, we got to see what Athena does
She
next.
blurred the line. She blurred the line between a work and a shoot.
Yes.
Without having to be stupid about it, without having to, wear a shirt that says, is this a work or a shoot? I mean, she did it in the ring.
Yes.
The way that lady knows how to do it.
Yes.
She did her damn business in the ring. She didn't need anybody to write her a damn story. She didn't need to do any of that.
No, she was just out there doing it
the right way.
Yeah, so that moment spawned a 14-match run of singles victories on both Dark and Dark Elevation over the course of the next 2 months, which is a lot of matches to have in 2 months.
Where she had to F a lot of girls up.
Yes, and this culminated in a title match at Final Battle on December 10th, 2022 against the current champion Mercedes Martinez for the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. This is where Athena won the World Championship and became the forever Women's World Champion. The greatest, longest reigning Women's World Champion in Ring of Honor history. And since the dawning of the new ROH TV on Honor Club in March of 2023, Athena has wrestled in a match on 31 out of the 42 current episodes. 29 of those matches have been either proving ground matches or actual championship matches for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And over the course of the year, Athena competed in the first ever women's main event on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view where she defended her title against Willow Nightingale at Death Before Dishonor on July 21st.
Fantastic match.
She has held the championship for 367 days and counting since last year's Final Battle.
Yeah.
But we would be remiss in speaking of the fallen goddess if we did not mention the name Billie Starkz.
Yeah.
Because ever since June 25th, 2023, when Athena met Billie Starkz for the first time at AEW Forbidden Door in an Owen Hart Foundation Cup quarterfinal match, things have gotten a little interesting between the two of them. On August 10th, 2023, Billie Starkz wrestled Robin Renegade on Ring of Honor 24, and after winning, Robin's sister Charlotte came out and attacked Billie alongside Robin. And for whatever reason, Athena decided to come out and help. So they did the whole thing where they look at each other, they did a double dive on the Renegades, they got back in the ring, and at first Athena was like, all right, let's go. You want to fight? Let's do this. She's like ready to go, but Billie offered her a handshake instead, which I don't think anyone thought Athena would accept. She didn't accept it. She laughed and then was like, come with me. And got out of the ring, was like, come on, you're coming with me. It's like calling a lost puppy home with you. Right. It was funny. But this would spawn the beginnings of Billie Starkz being Athena's minion. So Athena gave an interview with her bestie, Lexi Nair, following this, saying that Billie was now her loyal follower and minion, and she was awarded her minion number 400,237 3/4. A very distinguished number.
Yes.
Billie said she was not her minion, but she did propose a tag team match between them and the Renegades, which Athena was not for. She was like, you don't make this happen. Right. I make this happen. But this match did happen on August 24th in Lexington, Kentucky.
I think I remember that.
Athena bedazzled tank tops for both Billie and Lexi and accepted Billie's proposal for the tag match because she wanted to show that they were a family and that she was going to set an example for the family.
We were so excited.
Yes.
Being there. I think we were second row.
We were, and they were right in front of us. Yeah. And Billie got she took a lot in this match.
Yeah, we were so excited though. It was so funny because people were excited for other stuff and Canadian vampires and stuff.
We were like, Athena.
Yeah.
We were so ready. But after that match, Athena tried to get Billie to take some initiative, like she does after her matches, but Billie refused. This trend would continue. Like at AEW All Out on 0 Hour, Billie didn't interfere to help Athena and Mercedes and Diamante win the match, so they lost. When Athena faced Allison Kay on Ring of Honor, Billie didn't do as she should and interfere in the match and help. So Athena decided to put Billie and Lexi Nair into minion training.
Right.
Because she let her down 3 times in a row, didn't do what she was supposed to do. Did. Even though Billie was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm helping you win. That's what you want, right? She's like, no. So during minion training, Billie needed to learn how to make angry faces, stop cheering so much about everything, boo Willow Nightingale anytime she was around.
She did need to stop smiling so much.
She's such a happy person.
Yeah.
After the first minion training, Lexi graduated MIT immediately to become minion bestie. But Billie continued to be a disappointment.
Right.
She outwardly defied Athena, like moving a belt from under Lady Frost so that she could not push her head into it, and hiding people under the ring on occasion so that Athena couldn't attack them. And then when Athena had her title match against Layla Hirsch on October 5th, Billie got into the ring afterwards and practically pleaded with Athena not to do the same old thing that she always does. And Athena obliged. Yeah. It was weird. She was like, okay, I won't do it. And she took Billie and left. Like she didn't cause a fuss or anything. It was very strange. Following this, they had Minion Training Session 2, where Billie started to get to the program a little more, which was exacerbated by a newfound feud of an old feud between them and Mercedes Martinez and Diamante, who had formed a very steady tag team at this point. And they were picking on the relationship. They were like, Billie, she doesn't like you. Like, she's just going to throw you out, blah, blah, blah. They were the mean girls in this situation. And Athena was not having it. Billie was not having it. So on October 26th, they faced each other in a tag match where Billie Starkz took the pin, handing Athena her technically first loss in Ring of Honor in its new inception since the beginning. As you can imagine, Athena was very mad. She was apoplectic about this.
Yes.
Because this forced her to give Mercedes Martinez her rematch for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. So she was not happy. But Billie did not come to the ring with her for this match on November 2nd. She was missing, and Diamante was out there causing trouble during the match. And then right at the end, out of nowhere came this hooded figure with the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, hit Mercedes over the head with it, allowed Athena to win the match, and wouldn't you know it, that hooded figure was Billie Starkz. Finally, understanding what she needed to do.
Right.
For Athena to help and to be an actual minion.
Right.
So she started to get more vicious after this, throwing tantrums in the ring, yelling at the ref, telling him he doesn't get to tell her what to do, being very Athena-like, doing her little yay during matches and just, being Athena, technically. Like, she was even doing some of her moves in the middle of matches, like turning into Athena, essentially. During this time period, the two would have a couple of very interesting matches against Ronda Rousey and Marina Shafir right at the middle of November.
Yeah,
First,
which we've talked about.
Yes. First on November 16th in Wrestling Revolver, where the match was a DQ because Athena put an end to it. And then on Thanksgiving in Ring of Honor, where Billie Starkz tapped to Ronda Rousey, causing Athena to lose once more in Ring of Honor. So we're back to square one. Athena said she couldn't figure out why Billie Starkz was so good in singles matches, yet when they tagged together, she failed her time and time again. So she was going to give her one last chance to prove herself. And she was going to put her in a match with Marina Shafir, one-on-one, to prove she was not as much of a failure as she seemed to be. So on November 30th, Billie Starkz went toe-to-toe against Marina Shafir in just a brutal match. These two, I swear, their matches are just so good.
Absolutely.
Like, their story stretches through Wrestling Revolver and all that. It's just a whole thing. But Billie Starkz managed to get the win, pull out the win on top, beat Marina Shafir, and after that, Lexi and Athena came to the match for Minion graduation.
Right.
Lexi and Billie had on their graduation gear, their caps. Athena was like, I'm going to name the valedictorian. It's Lexi Nair. She gave Lexi the valedictorian scarf. She gave her diploma. And that was the end of Minion graduation. Billie Starkz was heartbroken. She stopped Athena from leaving the ring by grabbing her arm and pulling her back. She was like, what about me? I deserve it. I'm ready. I did everything that you asked me to do. I even she won the match. She proved that she was ready. But Athena was like, you're not ready. You better back off. And at first it seemed like Billie was gonna back off. She got out of the ring with Athena. They were going up the ramp, but you could see it set in on her face. Just, she couldn't take it anymore. So she grabbed Athena and threw her into the barricade like Athena has done to so many people before. And Athena on the ground was just laughing because this is what she wanted all along. This is the Billie that she's been trying to pull out since the very beginning. And Billie immediately, like, she went backstage. She caught Tony Khan in an interview segment with Lexi Nair. She was like, I need my time. I need my moment. Please give me this. So Tony was like, I agree. You've been on a 9-match winning streak in Ring of Honor, and you deserve a title match. So at Final Battle, it'll be Athena versus Billie Starkz for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And after that, on the most recent episode, Billie was in the first match of the night. It was like a 2-minute match, and then Athena came out. They had like a 4-minute brawl, just kept on getting out and going back at each other, just hammering away.
Wonderful pull apart.
Oh my God, it was so good. And and after that, that's when Athena delivered the news. She was like, TK told me it's going to be the main event of Final Battle. And boy, howdy, I cannot wait for that.
Absolutely. And
just to see how far Athena has come from those days in NXT to now.
Yeah, man.
And this story, she's crazy.
Such a happy ending. And it's just the beginning.
It really is.
You know, I'm so happy about this as well. I mean, this is, and whenever you're listening to this, hopefully, even if it's 10 years from now, it inspires you to go and watch what we're getting ready to watch.
Oh, Final Battle 2023.
Final Battle is getting ready to happen for us.
Oh, man.
In real time, it's tomorrow.
Yes.
And we can't wait. This podcast will be going up, you know, and people have tonight and they'll have tomorrow to listen to it, you know, hopefully beforehand. But go out of your way, you know, to see this, because and go out of your way on Honor Club to go back to the first and watch all of the Athena matches and watch this story develop. It's a wonderful, beautiful story that happens.
Yeah, and it just goes to show what people can do if you allow them to let their creativity and their character shine. Like, this is what can happen. Like, it was always in her to have this kind of run and to have this kind of story.
And did we know this is where it goes. And that's okay. Yeah. It's okay to know where the story's going to go. It's okay not to swerve someone.
Yeah. It's okay not to make us wait for 3 years.
Was it going to be Bruno and Larry Zbyszko? Yeah, but you know what that match did? It sold out Shea Stadium. You know, so I mean,
and I still couldn't tell you if Billie is gonna win this match or not, or if Athena's gonna continue on her crazy run. I can't tell you that. Like, honestly, I have no idea.
You know, it's. I would think that Athena wins.
Yeah, I
do. I would think Athena wins, but you know, maybe Billie. I don't know. I'm excited. It's a main event.
I cannot wait. Oh.
It's a main event, and anytime you have a main event, but here's the thing. It's a main event in Texas.
Athena's hometown.
And Athena is, she's great no matter where she's at, but she's a little bit better in Texas.
Yes.
And is Billie ready?
I don't know.
At 18, I mean, is Billie ready for the bright lights in the big city?
I haven't been this excited about a women's match in a while. Like,
yeah, man.
This is the big times. I'm so ready.
I can't wait to see Billie, be able to, with her, man, she's just nothing but upside.
Yes.
And Athena is so perfect to be her senpai.
Yes.
And it's just, that's one of the things that is so beautiful about this, is that they're not, it's not a forced thing. It's learning from that, staying under that learning tree, and who better to be under the learning tree of, and still yet be as, and as young and as ready to go on with this as Athena. So whatever comes for her, which, honest to God, I hope somehow this transitions into a long feud and a loser leaves Ring of Honor, and Athena ends up going to, AEW main roster and has a long feud with somebody. I mean, it's, because she's going to be great no matter where she's at.
Absolutely. And it's, oh gosh, this is 6 months of just watching these two bloom, and I love it so much.
So whether it's Athena, Ember, whatever, she's treated us to many years of top tier performance. Absolutely. And our hats off to you. We will follow you for the rest of your career.
Yes. And we hope you guys will follow us on all of our social medias at Wrestling Is Her, and here on the podcast, where we strive to give you the most wonderful happenings in the world of women's wrestling and the storylines that just take us up, take us down, break our heart, put it back together again, all the good stuff. And we will talk to you next time when we come back with all the goodies that are happening at year-end Climax and Final Battle and all of that, and we cannot wait to talk about it. We hope you will join us. But for now, I'm Raja, he's John, and we'll see you next time on Wrestling Is Her. Bye!
Bye!